My wife lied about her pregnancy while I paid off her student loans, so I exposed her secrets and walked away without a second thought. I'm a 33-year-old guy, and I thought I had life figured out. After years of grinding long nights at the office, weekends buried in spreadsheets, and saying no to every impulsive expense, I finally felt like I'd built something solid. My apartment was paid off, my savings were healthy, and for the first time in my life, I could breathe without worrying about rent or overdue bills. Stability wasn't just a dream anymore. It was my reality. That's around the time I met Laura. She was magnetic, sharp, funny, with this effortless confidence that drew people in. She'd just finished grad school and was juggling student loans while trying to find her place in the corporate world. I admired that about her, her drive, her refusal to settle. She'd talk about wanting to make a difference, even if that meant switching jobs every few months. I was the opposite: routine, predictable, grounded. Somehow, our differences fit together like puzzle pieces. I liked being her anchor. When she stressed about loan payments or work instability, I was there to remind her that things would get better. I covered more expenses without hesitation, thinking that's what a husband should do. Providing for her felt natural, like I was giving her the same peace of mind I'd fought years to earn for myself. Our marriage started to feel like a partnership built on trust and shared dreams. Late-night takeout dinners turned into conversations about travel, future kids, and the kind of parents we wanted to be. I'd look at her across the table, her hair pulled into a messy bun, eyes glowing with plans for the future, and I'd think, this is it. Then, one evening, she sat beside me on the couch, held my hand, and whispered with a trembling smile, "I think I might be pregnant." For a moment, everything around me blurred. My heart raced not from fear, but pure, unfiltered joy. It felt like the start of a brand new chapter. When Laura told me she might be pregnant, something inside me shifted. Suddenly, every decision felt heavier, more meaningful. I started looking at life through the lens of fatherhood. I wanted everything to be perfect for her, for us, for the baby I was already imagining holding in my arms. We confirmed the pregnancy a few weeks later. I still remember that night, the dim light in our kitchen, her holding the test with tears in her eyes. I wrapped my arms around her and whispered, "We're going to be okay. I'll take care of everything," and I meant it. From that moment on, every thought revolved around protecting and providing for my family. Laura quit her stressful job, saying she wanted to focus on her health and prepare emotionally. I didn't question it. I told her she didn't need to worry about money. I paid off another chunk of her student loans and started upgrading the apartment, baby-proofing corners, repainting the spare room, even setting aside a small fund for the baby's future. She'd laugh and tell me I was overdoing it, but I could see pride in her eyes when she watched me work late into the night. Planning every detail, she played the role of a glowing mom-to-be flawlessly. She'd send me links to baby clothes, talk about baby names, and even buy prenatal vitamins. When my parents came over for dinner, she talked about morning sickness and cravings with such conviction that even my mom teared up. But as weeks passed, little things started to feel off. Laura avoided going to the doctor, claiming she didn't want to be pressured by too many appointments. She said she found a private specialist but preferred to go alone. I brushed it off, trusting her. Still, something in my gut whispered that things were too perfect, almost scripted. But I silenced it. After all, why would the woman I loved lie about something like this? The first real crack appeared on a Thursday afternoon. Laura said she had a prenatal checkup, so I left work early, thinking I'd surprise her with flowers and pick her up afterward. When I got to the clinic, she'd mentioned, the receptionist looked confused. "We don't have anyone by that name scheduled today," she said politely. I laughed awkwardly, double-checked the name, and even spelled it out, but she shook her head again. Driving home that day, something gnawed at me. My rational side kept saying maybe she changed doctors or mixed up the dates. Still, the image of that receptionist's puzzled face wouldn't leave my mind. When I asked Laura casually that night how the appointment went, she didn't hesitate. It was fine. The doctor said everything looks normal. She even smiled, rubbing her belly lightly. Her tone was so calm, so believable, that for a second I felt ridiculous for doubting her. But then she mentioned details: a name, a clinic, and they didn't match what she'd told me before. I noticed other things too. She stopped letting me come near her phone. When friends texted, she'd tilt the screen away. She claimed she was too tired to go out, but somehow always had errands that took hours. I once found a receipt in her purse for a salon visit, on the same day she said she had a doctor's appointment. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, feeling my chest tighten. The idea that she could be lying felt insane, cruel even. But something wasn't right, and pretending otherwise was becoming impossible. I started writing small notes to myself, tracking her appointments, the excuses, the odd gaps. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but I knew one thing: when people lie, the truth eventually slips through the cracks. And I was starting to see the first ones form. I told myself I wasn't going to snoop, that I just needed clarity. But curiosity is a dangerous thing when mixed with suspicion. One night, while Laura was showering, her laptop screen lit up on the coffee table. She'd forgotten to close her email. My hands shook as I hesitated. The part of me that loved her begged to walk away. But another part, the one terrified of being a fool, whispered, "Check it." What I found didn't make sense at first. Receipts for expensive spa treatments, salon packages, even online clothing orders, all dated during the weeks she was supposedly visiting the specialist. Not a single email from any clinic, no appointment confirmations, no medical bills. When she came out, towel around her hair, I tried to keep my voice steady. "Hey, how's the doctor?" I asked casually. She smiled. "Tiring. So many tests." I forced a laugh. "What's the name of the clinic again? I want to send flowers or something." Her expression froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but enough. Then she sighed, dramatically. "You don't trust me, do you?" I felt my stomach drop. The shift was instant from sweet to defensive. She accused me of stressing her out, of questioning her motherhood. I ended up apologizing. Like an idiot, while she stormed off to the bedroom crying that night, she slept facing away from me, her back rigid under the blanket. I lay there, staring at the ceiling fan turning slowly above us, realizing I'd just been manipulated, guilted into silence. But it didn't work this time. I couldn't shake what I'd seen. So the next morning, after she left for errands, I called the clinic myself. The receptionist's voice was polite, almost bored. "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any patient by that name in our system." And just like that, the foundation of my marriage started to crack wide open. When I hung up the phone, my hands were trembling. I stared at the wall for what felt like hours, trying to process what I'd just heard. No record, no patient. No pregnancy. Every image of our life together, the nursery ideas. The late-night cravings, the gentle way she rubbed her stomach, all of it felt like a performance I'd been stupid enough to applaud. I watched her closely as she came home, humming softly, bags in hand. She kissed my cheek and said, "The baby's been kicking a lot lately." Her words hit me like a slap. I wanted to scream, "What baby?" But I didn't. Not yet. I needed proof, something undeniable. So I started collecting evidence. Bank statements, receipts, messages, anything that connected her lies. I noticed a pattern. Large cash withdrawals. Transfers labeled loan payment, but none of them matched her own account. I dug deeper and realized she wasn't just paying off her debt, she was sending money to someone else. The next night, I confided in my best friend Jake. We'd known each other since college, and he'd always liked Laura until recently. When I told him what I found, he sighed and said, "Man, I didn't want to say anything, but something's off with her. She's been avoiding people, especially when you're not around." That confirmation shattered what little denial I had left. I sat in my car outside our apartment, staring at the glowing windows upstairs, my chest burning with disbelief and fury. My wife, the woman I'd promised to protect, was deceiving me with the precision of a con artist, but I didn't confront her that night. I smiled when she greeted me, kissed her forehead, and asked about her day, because deep down, I already knew. I was going to find out everything, every single secret. She thought she could hide. I thought I was ready for whatever truth came next, but nothing could have prepared me for what I found. A few days after the clinic call, Laura left her laptop open again, this time on her messaging app. My pulse pounded in my ears as I saw a name I didn't recognize. "Don't worry, everything's almost paid off." My stomach twisted. I opened the chat. The more I scrolled, the colder I felt. Evan wasn't just anyone, he was her ex. The one she'd told me was a bad memory, a guy she claimed had cheated and left her in debt. But there they were, laughing, flirting, and worst of all, planning. Dozens of messages about me, about how gullible I was, how this plan worked better than she expected. I wasn't paying off her loans, I was paying off theirs. I felt the blood drain from my face. My heart raced so hard it hurt. I slammed the laptop shut and stumbled back like I'd been hit. Everything made sense now. The fake pregnancy, the lies, the sudden private appointments. She was siphoning my money under the illusion of motherhood, funding her ex's life behind my back. That night, she came home cheerful, carrying takeout. "You look pale," she said, cupping my face. Her touch made my skin crawl. "Just tired," I muttered. I forced a smile so she wouldn't see the fury boiling inside me. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started documenting everything: screenshots, transactions, messages. I opened a hidden folder and titled it The Truth. Because if she thought she was playing me, she had no idea who she was up against now. I was done being her victim. And for the first time in weeks, I felt calm, dangerously calm. I thought I could keep pretending, smiling through the lies, gathering proof in silence, but every day around her felt like walking barefoot over glass. The moment that finally broke me came 2 weeks later, when Laura decided to throw a celebration dinner. She said it was to announce her second trimester. Our friends and family filled the apartment. She wore a flowing dress that accentuated a small bump I'd never noticed before. For a moment, even I almost believed her act. She laughed, posed for pictures, placed a hand over her stomach when people congratulated her. It was performance art, flawless and disgusting. I stood beside her, numb, raising my glass when she toasted to the best husband a woman could ask for. People clapped. My mom teared up. Laura leaned close and whispered, "We make a great team, don't we?" Her tone was sweet, but her eyes, they were cold, calculating. I excused myself, stepping out onto the balcony, my chest tightening like I couldn't breathe. The city lights blurred below me as rage and humiliation fought for space in my head. I'd built my life around her lies. I was financing her fantasy while she laughed behind my back that night. When everyone left, she found me sitting in the dark living room. "You were quiet tonight," she said, her voice soft. "Just tired," I muttered. She smiled faintly. "Don't overwork yourself, love. The baby needs you." Her words echoed like poison. I watched her walk away and realized something inside me had snapped completely. The trust, the love, the future I thought we shared, gone. Later that night, I opened my banking app and transferred half our joint savings into a separate account under my name as the confirmation message popped up. I whispered to myself, "That's the last time she ever uses me." And from that moment on, I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her reckoning. After that night, the walls of our home felt haunted, not by ghosts, but by lies. Every room echoed with her laughter. Every corner reminded me of what I thought we had. I'd wake up next to her and feel nothing but disgust. But I had to keep playing my part until I could end this the right way. Laura grew bolder. She started treating me with this subtle condescension, like she knew she had me wrapped around her finger. If I asked about her appointments, she'd roll her eyes. "You don't need to know everything," she'd say. Once, when I questioned her spending again, she smirked. "You're lucky I even stayed with you, considering how dull you've become." That one hit deeper than I expected. It wasn't the insult. It was the casual cruelty, the ease with which she twisted the knife. I remember one night vividly. I came home late from work, drained and hollow. She was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. I asked softly, "Do you even love me anymore?" She didn't look up. "You're asking the wrong question," she said flatly. "Maybe you should wonder if I ever did." Something inside me broke in that moment. I walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked like a stranger. Tired eyes, clenched jaw, hollow stare. I had given everything, money, time, love, to someone who saw me as a paycheck, not a partner. That night, I sat in my car for hours, parked on an empty street. The rain tapped against the windshield as I realized I wasn't afraid of losing her anymore. I was afraid of losing myself. I whispered into the darkness, "This ends soon, one way or another," and for the first time, I truly meant it. After that night in the car, something inside me changed. The pain was still there, but it hardened into focus. A cold, steady resolve. I stopped reacting to her provocations. I smiled when she mocked me, nodded when she lied. To her, it probably looked like surrender. But in reality, I was building the calm before the storm. Every day after work, I pieced together the puzzle. I downloaded our bank history, cross-referenced her transfers, saved screenshots of her texts with Evan, and printed out the fake medical invoices she'd emailed herself. I wasn't just collecting proof, I was constructing a timeline of deceit. Meanwhile, she kept up the performance. To everyone else, Laura was the radiant, expectant mother, posting subtle baby quotes online, showing off bump photos, even hosting virtual chats with her mom about baby names. Watching her lie so effortlessly almost fascinated me. I began preparing my counterstrike. I drafted an email titled "The Truth About Laura." It contained everything: the messages, the proof, the transactions, every thread of manipulation she'd spun. I added both our families, a few close friends, and even her employer to the recipient list. But I didn't send it yet. I wanted the reveal to be poetic, something she couldn't twist or deny. So I waited, playing the role of the clueless husband. When she kissed my cheek, I smiled. When she said, "You're going to be such a great dad," I nodded and replied softly, "Yeah, I think I will." Inside, though, I was counting down the days, because her downfall wasn't going to come from anger or shouting. It was going to come from precision, from her lies collapsing under their own weight, and I already knew exactly when to pull the trigger. Our anniversary dinner felt like the perfect stage for truth. Laura wanted to celebrate at a fancy restaurant downtown, surrounded by close friends and family. "Let's make it special," she'd said, smiling as she wrapped her arms around me. I remember thinking, "Oh, it'll be special. All right." I booked a private dining room. Dim lights, soft music, everything she'd want. As people arrived, she basked in the attention, flaunting her charm and that fake maternal glow. She wore a silky white dress, the kind meant to draw eyes and sympathy. When someone asked about the baby, she gave a practiced laugh. A little camera shy, but doing great. I played along perfectly, smiling, joking, toasting. No one suspected a thing. Then, halfway through dinner, I stood up and tapped my glass. "Before we eat," I began, "I just want to thank everyone for celebrating with us tonight. Especially Laura, for teaching me the true meaning of honesty and partnership." She tilted her head, confused but smiling. "Oh, that's sweet," she said. I nodded, then pulled out my phone and connected it to the small projector behind me. The screen lit up on the wall. "In honor of our anniversary," I continued, "I put together something special, a little highlight reel of our journey." Laughter turned to silence when the first screenshot appeared. Texts her messages to Evan, her words, "He's still buying it. Almost done." Gasps filled the room. Laura froze, color draining from her face. I clicked again. Bank transfers, fake invoices, private messages. Her mother covered her mouth in shock. My father whispered, "My God, stop," Laura shouted, lunging toward me. I stepped back, calm. "Why, Laura?" I asked quietly. "Why all this?" She stammered, shaking, eyes darting to the horrified crowd. It's not what it looks like, but it was exactly what it looked like, and everyone knew it. The silence that followed was the most satisfying sound I'd ever heard. Laura stood there, trembling, surrounded by the wreckage of her own lies. No one moved. Her friends looked at her like she was a stranger. Her mother's eyes filled with tears, and my father quietly muttered, "You've disgraced everyone." Laura tried to speak something about misunderstandings, stress, needing help, but the room had already turned on her. I didn't yell. I didn't gloat. I simply said, "You played me, Laura. You used me, and you thought I'd never find out." My voice was calm, almost too calm. That seemed to scare her more than if I'd shouted. She reached out, desperate. "Please, we can fix this. I'll pay you back." I took a step back. "You already did," I interrupted. Tonight was my refund. Her face crumbled. She ran out of the restaurant, sobbing, flashes of camera phones following her. For once, I didn't chase after her. I just sat down, feeling the weight lift off my shoulders. Over the next few weeks, I filed for divorce. My lawyer loved the evidence folder, said it was airtight. Every penny I'd lost, I was set to recover. Her messages to Evan became public in court, and the judge didn't look amused. The legal process was slow, but it felt like breathing again. Every document, every signature, another step away from the hell she built. She tried reaching out, of course. Dozens of messages. I made a mistake. You don't understand. We can fix this. I never replied. I didn't need to. Even her parents called, ashamed but kind. Her mother whispered, I don't know who she's become, but you didn't deserve this. I thanked her, not out of anger, but because I finally meant it. For the first time in months, my nights were quiet, peaceful. But peace, I learned, isn't just silence. It's freedom. The day the divorce was finalized, I didn't feel the rush of victory I'd imagined. No fireworks, no dramatic relief, just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm has torn through everything, leaving behind wreckage and open sky. I walked out of the courthouse, papers in hand, and for the first time in over a year, I felt like myself again. I moved into a smaller place, nothing fancy, just enough. The silence that once haunted me now felt like peace. I started going for early morning runs, listening to the city wake up. I reconnected with old friends I'd pushed away, told them the truth, and was met with empathy instead of pity. Jake, my best friend, clapped me on the back one night and said, You didn't lose a wife, man. You dodged a lifelong parasite. I laughed, a real, genuine laugh that I hadn't heard from myself in months. Laura tried reaching out one last time. An email, long, tearful, manipulative. She wrote that she was sorry, that she never meant to hurt me, that Evan used her too. I read every word, not out of curiosity, but closure. When I reached the end, I hovered over reply, then hit delete instead. In the weeks that followed, something strange happened. I stopped hating her, not because she deserved forgiveness, but because hate kept me tethered to her story, and I was done living in her story. Now, when people ask about my past, I just say, I learned the hard way that love without honesty is just manipulation with better lighting. I rebuilt my life brick by brick, slower this time, but stronger. And sometimes, late at night, I look at the city lights and whisper to myself, not in anger, but in peace, I didn't lose her. I lost the illusion, and I walked away without a single second thought.